Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Daze and welcome to Wrestling Daze Reviews. We're reviewing this week's NXT. Now, what I would say just as a headline about this week's NXT was that there was quite a few moments in here that I thought were strong. I definitely started losing interest towards the end of the show. I think that a 2-hour NXT is very difficult to book because I think they've got some really good things on the show. But honestly, I feel like an hour, you've got one of the best wrestling shows on TV. I really think if you take like just the best of this show, put it into an hour, you've got such an incredible wrestling product. It is there, but there's just stuff in here that I think waters it down a little bit. But we'll go through it all. I think the ending is very strong. I think the start is strong. The ending is strong. And as I said, maybe like once we start going into the second hour, maybe the start of the second hour, kind of midway through the second hour, that for me was a bit soft. And actually during our watch-along conversations, we're kind of just naturally drifting into other things, just because it wasn't kind of holding my attention. But it brought us back for the main event, and what a main event it was. A big shock at the end, but of course, we will get to that. Let's start, shall we, with this first hour. And as I said, I thought this first hour was really strong. I was really impressed with the cage match. We were talking about when was the last cage match for a tag team in WWE. I don't think we quite found an answer on that, but the last one we could find was 2017, Hardys against The Bar at Extreme Rules. So this isn't something that we see on a regular basis. We get Hell in a Cell, and we've obviously seen Elimination Chambers. We know that they've done tag team cage matches, of course, in other promotions, but not something you see a lot of in WWE. I like it. I like the fact it was somewhat different. I like these two teams as well. I think that tag team wrestling is a real turning point right now. It doesn't feel like it's in the strongest place it's been in WWE, but the future certainly looks quite bright. And I would say that these two teams are, I don't know if they're leading the charge, but they're certainly amongst the front runners. Certainly the Creed brothers, who I think a lot of people are very high on at the moment. They're great. I mean, they're just great wrestlers, very powerful. And locking them in a cage with Pretty Deadly was fun. A lot of them trying to escape, trying to run up the side of the cage, quickly get out. Pretty Deadly playing the roles of heels very well. But the real story of this match was when Damon Kemp came down. He would handcuff Julius Creed to the top of the cage, preventing him from actually escaping or doing anything. This was great because Damon Kemp has been obviously feuding and turned on the Creeds. He's turned on Diamond Mine. This was a real clever way of him kind of, getting involved, preventing Creeds from winning. It also meant that we got a real nice moment where Brutus was locked in a cage with both Pretty Deadly. And to be honest, you don't quite know which way that's going to go. I mean, Brutus is a beast. So him being locked in a cage, you kind of look at Pretty Deadly thinking, it's not great for them, is it, being locked in a cage with Brutus? But of course, the numbers were too much in the end. And so it was a victory for Pretty Deadly. Julius could do nothing but watch his brother get beaten up eventually. He did all right, though, Brutus. He held on for a while. There was some nice close calls in here. I remember at one point as well, I think Julius, massive superplex from the top that Julius took. So there were some nice spots, nice moments. This thing ate up about 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes of the show. Really strong. I was really into it. Yeah, great. As I said, if the show had been an hour and you start with this cage match and you end with the North American Championship match and then you have a few things in the middle, like say, I don't know, Quincy Elliott, maybe you chuck in something else as well. Like, this could have been a banger of a show. This could have been one of the greatest wrestling shows of the year. But as I said, it's hard, isn't it, to kind of stretch it out over a 2-hour period. But really good start. I thought this was a really good cage match. Then we go backstage to find out who is facing Carmelo in what would be our main event. You, the fans, got to choose this. You lucky devils. You got to choose. You took your time. You went to the website. You looked at all the options. You were like, oh, do I go with Von Wagner? Oh, do I go with Joe Gacy? Should I go with Wesley? You thought it through. I would imagine you called up family members and you was trying to get them to give you answers. Who should I go with? And there's probably big conversations, big debates as to where your vote's going to go. Eventually, it seems like the majority of you settled on Wesley. So that is going to be a great match later on in the show, isn't it? Can't wait for Wesley against Carmelo Hayes. The match that you, the people, have decided you want to see close out this week's NXT. So lock that in. Get excited. That will be our main event of the evening. Moving on. So here we've got Mason the Night Howler Ramirez, legend, right? He came out with Briggs and Jensen and Fallon, what's her name? Fallon Henley. We've spoke about these names before. Fallon Henley. Maybe that's her real name. I don't know. But they all came out. Apparently, this is a Connor Cure Thriver. He's a big fan of NXT. This is a nice moment. Got nothing bad to say about this. Why would I? Fallon Henley gets into the ring, has her match. She beats Lash Legend. Lash Legend, in my opinion, didn't look great at the start. There was some strikes here that looked real snug. There was a few moments that just looked a little off. I wouldn't say there was anything like massively botchy, but you can just tell that it's not clean, it's not crisp, it's not quite there. The timing's just that half a second out. It's just, where you don't quite land on your feet, there's a slight stumble. It's nothing that you're going to really point at and laugh at, but it's all just a little not right. I feel like that's coming more from Lash Legend's side than it is Fallon Henley's side. Very short little contest, this. I mean, didn't really stay around long enough to offend anyone. And Fallon Henley picks up the victory. Then, can I just say, I've got a criticism of NXT here. One of many, actually. But this one is that they do a rubbish job of letting us know who these people are. You can go a few weeks without seeing people. And unless you watch religiously, it's hard to know who these people are. There was a graphic that came up that said these people's names, but it didn't tell me who was who, right? So it told me who the guy was, and it told me who the girls were, but it put the girls together. So, and I can't even remember their names now. I've seen them a few times before, but I can't tell you who is who. So I would have written the name down if I actually knew who this person was. Like, I have been out of NXT for a little while and I've come back in. And so it's really interesting, actually, looking at it with fresh eyes. It's really interesting coming back in, having not been watching it for a while, to kind of look at it a bit more as, say, a casual fan would. And I think this is something they could really improve. Like, there is no reason as to why the three names of these three competitors were not bang, 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 like on screen right in front of them. There's no reason why they didn't do that. Instead, it was the dude's name by him, fair play, and then the girls' names put together in a box just over at the side where you don't know who is who. It's as if, like, it doesn't really matter who is who. They're a tag team. That's all you need to know. These are their names, but it doesn't really matter who's who. But it kind of does when one of them turns around and says she's just heard she's going to be out for 9 months. You kind of go, oh, well, that's a shame. Who are you, by the way? Sorry, what was your name again? Sorry. So I literally had to write down 9 months, and that was it. So I have no idea what her name is, but it's the one in green. Yeah, she's sad. So just know that. And then Von Wagner arrived. He got into it with the dude. I can't remember his name. I keep wanting to say Shanky, but it's clearly not Shanky. It might be Samveer or something. I don't know. But yeah, they got into it. these are people that we haven't seen a great deal of in recent weeks. So they're clearly building towards Von Wagner versus this dude. So that is a match that should be coming up in the future. I love this. Where's the kid? Where's the kid? Where's the kid? Literally, he came out with them. They had the match. Match ends. We go to that little segment, which I cannot stress this enough, lasted all of 30 seconds. Then we see him again. Kid's gone. Kid's gone. The kid has gone. So it feels like, yeah. You can. Come on, Nightcrawler. You can come out with us to the ring. Yeah, come and live your dream like this. The second they could drop him, he was dropped. He was gone. Forget about it, kids. We don't want you hanging around us. We don't really like you. That's the vibe I got. So, in my mind, massive heels. Briggs, Jensen, Fallon, they could not drop that kid quick enough. They could not get rid of that kid quick enough. As soon as they walked through the curtain after the match, where's the parents? I think I'm allergic to children. Unbelievable. And do you know what they do? Do you know why they needed the kid out the way? Because this one, who I think is Jensen, I don't know, he started simping all over Mandy Rose, like hardcore simping. I mean, you can see the facial expressions of the women on screen. In many ways, it was probably best the kid wasn't around for this. But yeah, he was simping. He was like, I saw your picture last week. Like, you looked amazing. She was like, thank you, and all this. And he was trying to hit on her. I mean, honestly, if it was me, I would have said I saw that picture last week and you need more cushions on your seat in the background because you are lacking on soft furnishings. That would be what I would say. That is not what he said. And you can see the reaction of the women here. It has not gone well at all. So in many ways, part of me thinks that it was probably best the kid wasn't around for this. But this segment ends with basically Fallon Henley kind of getting a bit in the face of Mandy Rose. So they're clearly building up to maybe a match between them two in the future. I don't think Fallon Henley will get the victory there. My understanding is that she's still quite new in ring. I don't know. I think Mandy Rose made a comment of, I would be excited if I won my first match as well. I feel like Fallon Henley has had other matches. So, don't know. I think they're kind of just making out she's maybe still quite new in ring. She's been around for a little while. But either way, I don't expect her to get the belt off Mandy. But I think they are certainly teasing a match. Then we got Toxic Attraction in the ring. They were gloating about how they're the best thing in the world. They have, been the best thing about NXT because this was, and I haven't mentioned it yet, this was NXT's birthday. Happy birthday, NXT 2.0. What better way to celebrate a birthday than by inviting a child to come to the ring, massive smile on their face, and then dump them backstage. Leave them backstage. Discard them like garbage. What a better way to celebrate your birthday. So, basically they were going off about how they're multiple-time tag team champs. Aren't they brilliant? Blah, 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 blah. Super boring. And then out came Alba Fyre. Alba Fyre came down. She did a great job. She was like, you don't know anything about me. You think you know about me. You don't know anything about me. I'm here for that title. Blah, 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 blah. She starts swinging away at him, beating him up with the baseball bat. I mean, I feel like we're building towards Fallon Henley and Mandy in a match. But I feel like the person that really could get that title from Mandy is this girl right here. Alba Fyre, I think, is the feud. And I think she could be the one. She really could be the one. She was a long-time champion in NXT UK as Kaylee Ray. And now they've changed the name. I like the graphic. I mean, that intro looks great, doesn't it? With like the fire on the screens and all the smoke and everything. It looks really, really good. So, she could be the one. She could be the one that ends this quite lengthy Mandy Rose title reign. Then we got Cora Jade saying that she's the best thing since sliced bread. She wanted all the fans to like her. And, she was just kind of... There was a lot of reflecting on this. I mean, there's a big Bron Breakker segment later where we look back on his time And this was kind of a way of looking back on Cora Jade's time. So we look at her when she was a face. We see her like being excited for when Roxanne Perez comes in and her turning on her. It was just a way really of doing a retrospective for Cora Jade. So, and at the end, she kind of lays a little bit into Wendy Chu. And then we do go to Wendy Chu, and Wendy Chu is just like kind of dismissing it. So, I think we could be building to like a Wendy Chu, Cora Jade feuds. Equally, I don't think Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade are quite finished with each other. So, still got things to do there. So, there's definitely a lot of feuds and things that are bubbling around at the moment. But this more than anything, I think, was just a way of doing like a retrospective for Cora Jade. Then we need to resize this, and it will be worth it. Don't you worry about that. By the time we resize this image, there's Cora. There he is, like, oh! Super Diva. So it was the arrival of Quincy Elliott. Quincy Elliott on a chair. This dude looks like Funky Mabel. He came down. He was like grinding up against the ring post. It was pretty wild. Pretty wild. If we go over, oh dear, this one's all out of sizes. I tell you what, it can't cope. Look, there he is. It can't cope with some of these images. Some of these images are too much for this post-show review by the looks of it, but there he is. He does a bonsai drop, and he does a lot of like gold dust mannerisms. There was not much to this match at all. At all. He did more of the gold dust kind of stroking his body kind of mannerisms than really anything else. There was a lot of the match he did that. His finishing move was a bonsai drop. They never called it a bonsai drop. They didn't call it anything. I think it will get a Quincy Elliott name. But it was fun. I mean, I'm down for this guy. I'm down for something different. A lot of people saying Velveteen Dream has let himself go. He does give off those kinds of vibes. But yes, he was. It was fun. I must admit, really, up until this point, I thought the show had been pretty good. Up until this point, even with this, I was on board. This was someone I was quite interested in seeing. We've been seeing the vignettes of Quincy Elliott. I probably could have done without Fallon, Henley, and Lash Legend, but it wasn't around long enough to offend, as I said, and this wasn't around long enough to offend. This wasn't great by any stretch of the imagination. This was just an introduction to this new character. So we got Quincy Elliott. Then we went backstage and we saw Wes Lee being beaten up. Wes Lee was being destroyed. Now, don't worry, I'm sure this won't affect the main event because you lot voted for it, so I'm sure that he'll still make it. But this was a bad beatdown. I mean, I didn't know how he was going to make it, but I'm sure he will. I'm sure he will. They wouldn't have you vote and waste your time voting for someone to be in the main event only for that person to then not be in the main. They wouldn't do that. So, this is him getting beaten up. But he'll be all right. Don't worry about it. He'll make it. Then we move on. I don't know. Maybe this is where I'm starting to struggle, to be honest. Maybe this is where I'm now starting to drift. This is Tony and Stacks taking on Cameron Grimes, who, I don't know, is it just me or does he deserve better than this? I mean, like, he's been around for ages. He's been involved in loads of stories. And now he's just, I don't know, just fighting off some factions that want him to join. Like, it just seems like a bit of a rubbish story to me. Like, the creative here seems a bit flat. So, Tony wanted him to join. He said no. So now he's in this match. He needed a tag partner. He didn't have a tag partner. Joe Gacy comes down, who also had tried to recruit Cameron Grimes. He's like, I'm going to help you. Cameron's like, I'd rather you didn't. I don't need your help. But Gacy does help. And Gacy actually gets the win. Which, as I said, he gets the win in a match which I don't even know that he was officially in, because, like, Cameron Grimes is like, I don't want you as my partner. I don't need you in this match. But Gacy kind of tagged himself in. So I suppose the ref just had to go with it. But yeah, I mean, like, I could understand Tony and Stacks being a bit upset here. They just lost to someone who wasn't even really in this match. But yeah, he gets the pin. He gets the win. There's then a face-to-face. Gacy's got his arms out. The crowd at this point are chanting, hug it out. Hug it out. Like, Gacy is a heel. I know he's just come down to try and help Cameron Grimes. So maybe they're thinking he's now turned face or something. And they're like chanting, hug it out. They don't hug it out. Cameron Grimes turns him down, and then Cameron Grimes gets beaten up. So that's what happens there. Schism. Start beating him up. Joe Gacy then gets involved as well. Cameron Grimes, pretty rubbish day at the office for him, really. You know, he has to try and battle Tony and Stacks on his own. Then the person that comes to help him is someone he really doesn't want. Then that person gets the win. Then he has to say to him, I don't want to join you. Then he gets beaten up by them. I mean, it just sucks. I mean, it's a real rubbish time to be Cameron Grimes. So, yeah, as I said, maybe this is where I was drifting a little. This was weird as well. So JD Madonna, right, or Madonna or whatever it's called, he was having a shave, and the dude that was shaving him cuts his neck. I mean, I don't know about you. If I was having anyone, I don't even care who it is, anyone in this world, like, was shaving me, yeah, that sounds weird, but they're shaving me, and they slice my throat, I'm not going to just sit there and go, oh, that's unfortunate, isn't it? Aren't you gonna be like, gee, what have you done that for? Like, there's gonna be just a natural reaction to someone cutting your throat. So, like, he gets like, and he just like looks at all this blood on his hands, and he's just got like this little smile on his face. I think at the end of his promo, he's like, go away. I'm not happy with you. You just cut my throat. You just sliced my throat. You could have killed me. I'm not happy with you. Go away. So I don't know who that dude was. Perhaps, I mean, he looks quite big in all fairness. Now I'm looking at him, he looks quite big. In all fairness, he is quite a big guy with a razor blade. So maybe you wouldn't want to go too angry, right? I will go that far. But I did feel that the reaction here was certainly more muted than what my reaction would have been. That's all I'm going to say. Right? Then we go to another retrospective. And this is Braun. Braun is just looking back on, obviously, his run. And what a great run he has had. Massive splash, facing Tommaso, facing the likes of Dolph, facing the likes of Gunther, being champion for the majority of the first year of NXT 2.0. Yeah, it was good. This was all right. It was fine. Did a job. I mean, if you've been watching NXT 2.0, there's nothing here you wouldn't have already seen. So yeah. Tyler Bates says that he wants to be champ. You know, he had a match, came up short. He wants a rematch, so he challenges Braun. He says that he knows that there's other challengers, and JD is someone. JD Madonna is going to have to be someone that's going to have to go through Tyler to get a title opportunity. So Tyler wants an opportunity. JD wants an opportunity. He says they're going to have to fight each other. Simple as that. And so it looks like we're getting Tyler against JD. Winner will go on to face Bron Breakker. They haven't actually said that. They've just said Tyler against JD, but certainly seems like the winner of that will put themselves as a number one contender of sorts. So, yeah. Then, I couldn't get into this. I mean, there was some all right stuff here. I'm not a big Nikkita Lyons fan at all. I think she's got good kicks, but I don't find her to be very captivating. I don't find her to be engaging. I don't find myself like rooting for her. I don't feel any emotion to her at all. Like, I don't root for her. I don't want her to win. I don't care if she loses. I'm just very passive towards her. And I don't even know the other women. So this was Ariana James, I think, Kiana someone, and we call her fake Stephanie McMahon because she looks like a fake Stephanie McMahon. So those two, who I don't believe have been around for very long, It's quite a lot of new faces all the time with NXT, I find. There's a lot of like fresh blood coming in, and we had a couple of promos as well for even new faces, more new faces that are coming in. So they're constantly bringing in like new people. So yeah, you had Nikkita Lyons, you had Zoey Stark. I really like Zoey Stark. I think she's a great wrestler. Bottom line, Nikkita Lyons and Zoey Stark win in a match which had made no impact on me whatsoever. So yeah, this was another one. The Cameron Grimes match. This is where for me there was like the lull, if you will. Then we saw, again, I don't remember seeing any names on screen for who these people are. I think one of these is Efanoe or something. I don't know who the other person is. They were talking to Little Red Riding Hood, who we saw and have seen for a few weeks. But yeah, they were chatting to Little Red Riding Hood. They were talking about Schism. And then I believe Schism come out and it gets into like a big brawl. So... you know, there's what I will say is they try to cram on as many people as possible. I think obviously if you've been watching like for months and months and months, you will know who these people are. But if you are like me, someone that's just come back into it because of Heatwave and how great that card was, and then the shows that followed I thought were very strong, they don't do a great job of like filling you in as to who these people are. And even if they put their names on screen, they don't put them in front of who the people are. And that's something that really jumped out to me as I was like trying to make notes to kind of go through and explain everything that was happening. So yeah, I think they could definitely do a better job. Certainly with like, you know, the turnover of people coming and going all the time. Like there's just constant new faces or people that you won't have seen for a few weeks that are like popping up or whatever. So just a little something that I think they could improve. Then we got some other new faces. This was Javier Bernel taking on Hank Walker. I believe this is Hank Walker's first match. He was apparently a recruit. He is someone that's new. He is someone that Wade Barrett said is not ready to compete. And apparently, this is weird, apparently when you're a new recruit, you have to pay your dues by working security, which... is weird, but because you would think they would have trained security be security, maybe that explains why WWE security is so bad, because it's actually not trained security. They literally just get NXT recruits to put a security shirt on and just hope for the best. I don't know. But yeah, we have actually seen Bron Breakker as security, and we've seen other stars be security. So in a way, there is a little bit of truth to that. If, like, when you first start, they do tend to put you on TV as security. So there is a little bit of truth to it. In this kayfabe world, though, they're trying to make out that they're actual security. And apparently that's what this Hank Walker has been. He's been doing some backstage security. He's been getting into some verbals with Javier Bernel, who I think has been disrespectful to some of the female talent. Another talent, and so they end up having a match, and Hank Walker gets the win. Can you believe it? Hank Walker gets the victory. Crowd were all right, actually. I can't say they weren't into it. The crowd were all right here, but yeah, it was all right. Anyway, we get to our main event. So Carmelo is in the ring, and of course, you know, he's talking about how he dealt with Wesley. Wesley's coming out. I mean, you lot voted for Wesley. He's about to come out, right? So even though he's saying I beat up Wesley, there's no way he's going to make the match now. It's going to be Wesley. So he's chatting away. Main event, North American Championship. Let's go to the opponent, Solo Sikoa. Now, do you know what? All jokes aside, yes, you did vote for someone that then was not in the main event, right? But all jokes aside, it's pretty cool, isn't it? Solo Sikoa. I did wonder if it was going to be like a name from the main roster, but and in a way it is. But this is someone that's only just recently left NXT. And so he comes back. He says, I told you I was next in line. And so here we are, Solo Sikoa against Carmelo Hayes. Not a bad little match, actually, this. Not bad. They don't get tons of time, but there is an overrun, which is not needed. They don't need those extra 8 minutes. I mean, sure, they've been allowed to have them, so they're taking them. They don't need them. They don't even need a 2-hour show, right? Sure, they've been offered 2 hours, so they've taken it. But for me, NXT was so much better when it was an hour. And this show, I'm not even lying, right? This would be one of the best wrestling shows of the year if this had been an hour. Like, there is some great stuff here. This main event, the cage match, other things. Like, yeah, like you could have had a really good hour. But we get this. He comes down. We do go into the overrun. And would you flipping believe it? Solo Sikoa, the newest member of the Bloodline, gets the victory. So that is another belt going to the Bloodline. A new NXT North American champion. I don't know how long, we'll have to have a little look into that, how long Carmelo had been North American champ for. I know he's had that belt for quite a long time. I don't know if he's held it, dropped it, won it back, something along those lines, but I know he's had that belt for a long time of NXT 2.0. Whether that be in 1 reign, 2 reigns, 3 reigns, I don't know. But every time I've tuned in, he's been the champion. So this feels like it was a really big deal. And yeah, another belt for the Bloodline. This means that Solo Sikoa, when he goes to SmackDown, is going to have the North American Championship. And that means that we've got, obviously, Roman with his belts, got the Usos with theirs. Solo's got a belt. It does leave Sami Zayn beltless. The honorary Us, the only member of the Bloodline now to not have a championship. That might put pressure on Sami to have to try and get a belt from somewhere. I mean, like, I don't see him getting the Intercontinental. He could maybe get the 24/7. I don't even know who's got that at the moment. I don't know if it's Dana Brooke. I'd fancy his chances against Dana Brooke. If I was Sami, I'd just go after that. Just get that. That'll do. So, yeah, we'll have to see. But Solo Sikoa, quite the shock. But a really fun match. Really, really fun match. Gets the victory. Gets the job done. Then there's a video package at the end of the show where we hear from Shawn Michaels. And he is just talking about how NXT is constantly evolving, constantly moving forwards. And nothing is specifically said, but that is the closing image of this week's episode. And it is a new logo. It looks kind of black and gold, black, gold and white. It's, I don't know, nothing is said. I don't know if this isn't just a little nod to the past. You know, we are NXT. What we're doing now is just a continuation of what we started when we was black and gold. Or if this is just a nod towards going back to black and gold. The only thing I will say about this is that if they change the logo to that, right, that's cool. I got no issue with them doing that. It doesn't change the booking, right? You can take all the color out of this show and make it black and gold, but it doesn't change how I feel about this show. It doesn't change about the booking of this show. Like, it's still, to me, it shouldn't be 2 hours. I mean, even when it was black and gold, I felt that. Since this has been on, like, network TV, I felt that 2 hours is just a bit too long for the developmental brand. So, I don't know, if they change it, this is going to have people excited. This is going to definitely grab people's attention. This will definitely be a talking point. But, like, they're going to need to look at the booking. I mean, for me personally, and people can tell me I'm wrong, I prefer Triple H's booking to Shawn Michaels. And that might just simply be what it comes down to. It might come down to the fact that I grew up, kind of, watching NXT when it was an hour, yeah? Whereas now it's 2 hours, and to me, there's definitely things I would lose. And also, we grew up watching Triple H's NXT, not Shawn Michaels. So these changes are changes that, now that I've come back to NXT as a bit of a casual fan and I can kind of watch it with fresh eyes, I can see that it's still there. Like, you know, the things that we love about NXT, they do still live. great wrestling, good talent that's coming through. But it's just that it is spread out across 2 hours rather than really focused in on with 1 hour. So I don't know how you address that, to be honest. I don't know how you change that, because NXT will have people that just love NXT. They love these 2 hours, and that's great. That's great. But I think that for me personally, this is a show that I can sort of take or leave. It's not essential viewing for me, NXT at the moment. And that is something that I wish would change. I really do. I wish it would change. I want it to be essential viewing. I want to feel the way that I did when it was 1 hour on the network. And I know the problem is that it's 2 hours, and that it includes a lot of, stuff which doesn't really, I don't feel that engaged with. There's a lot of new faces. It's very hard to get invested in new faces. I do think they do a good job of building those new faces up. I mean, we saw Quincy Elliott this week, and I was really excited about that. But, once they've debuted and you've seen them for a few weeks, they obviously lose a little bit of their appeal. I don't know who that Javier Bernel is. I have no feelings towards him. I've got no feelings towards Lash Legend. Don't have any feelings towards Nikkita Lyons. I know many people do. The people they were facing, the fake Stephanie, the Ariana James, it's hard to have feelings for them. That Inoue that was backstage, or whatever his name is, that was talking to Little Red Riding Hood. There's a lot of people that I just don't feel much towards, because I haven't been watching NXT. I know that that's on me, but I've not been seeing these people either. So, and even when I do, sometimes I don't even remember I've seen them. We were talking about how we saw Von Wagner a few weeks ago. I don't even remember it. So it's difficult. It's hard. It's a job that I don't envy of Shawn Michaels, trying to book NXT, because you haven't got tons of stars to turn to. You're having to make stars with the future talent, So that's always going to be a challenge. But Triple H did it, and he did it really, really, really well. And takeovers in stadia, in arenas, were amazing. And honestly, he probably could have done a stadium. NXT was the hottest brand. Maybe, I don't know, has AEW taken some of that away? Maybe AEW, because there was no AEW around when NXT was an hour on the network. And maybe, if you wanted real great wrestling, NXT was one of your only options. Yeah, you could have gone watching other promotions, but within the WWE umbrella, Raw, SmackDown, very hit and miss at times, certainly under Vince, maybe a little better under Triple H now. But if you wanted the wrestling brand, that was NXT. Maybe that's not the case anymore. I mean, it still is, but you've got AEW now. Maybe AEW has really taken... We know for a fact that a lot of fans have gone over. I mean, Izzy, for example, the girl that used to be in the crowd, she, I know now, does a lot with AEW. I think she was at the press conference, for example. I think his name was Kyle, the guy that always wore the Everton shirt, always saw him in the crowd at Full Sail. I don't see him around anymore. In fact, last time I saw him, he was in the AEW crowd. So I wonder if that has just taken a little bit away from NXT. Now, the fact that you've got that now on a Wednesday night. I don't know. I really want this to work. And if they're about to make this change, and this isn't just a little nod to the past, but this is actually a nod to the future, it is exciting. But does it change anything? Does it change anything? Or does it just change the logo? Don't know. We'll have to wait and see. And that is this week's NXT. I'm very interested to see people's reviews. As I said, it was all right. I think that there is a solid show here with, some stuff that I definitely could have left. But, great cage match. Shock, surprise at the end. Alba Fyre moment I thought was all right. I enjoyed watching Quincy. So there was some stuff in there. But, we'll see what next week has got to bring. I think next week we get JD against Tyler Bates. And there was a couple of other things that were announced as well. I think maybe Wendy Chu in action next week as well. But we'll see what next week brings us. But this was all right. We'll see. I've got a feeling that you lot were probably quite grabbed by the ending. I've got a feeling that the ending might have won quite a few of you over. And like Solo Sikoa winning that North American Championship, I think will have papered over any cracks. So I am probably expecting quite a high score as a result. Marvelin said, I've got an idea. Let's say Finn gets kicked from Judgment Day. He could start his own faction called Balor Club with Jordan Devlin involved. Yeah, you could do that. You could do that. I don't know. I don't know that Balor Club. I don't know that Balor Club ever quite grabbed me. Balor Club kind of sounds like a Finn Balor fan club, doesn't it? So I think I might be tempted to change that name. It's a little bit of a play on Bullet Club, of course. But I don't know. I don't know that Balor Club, it makes it seem a little bit Jericho Appreciation Society. So yeah, I don't know that I would go with that name. But even so, yeah, I like Balor being the leader of a faction. I think he deserves that kind of spotlight. I know a lot of people have said in the past, let's bring Bray into Judgment Day, but I think if you do that, Bray is then undeniably going to be the leader. And I think that would be a real shame for Finn. So, John says, when do you think Mandy joins JC and Gigi on SmackDown? When do I think Mandy joins JC and Gigi? I don't know, because I don't even know if they are on SmackDown, to be honest. I think they've been used on there just to kind of see how they look, just to, put them through the paces. We need a women's tag team, basically. Let's bring them up and use them for a few things. But I don't know that they're there permanently. I think that they might just be floating between the two. You might actually see them floating between the two for a while. And then maybe they come up in the draft, which is not until next year. Or maybe this is it. Maybe they're, just going to get called up now. But I don't know. I feel like it won't be too long. I mean, as I said, the draft at the very latest. I'd say the draft at the very latest. But I feel like they've just been using them because there's not many established women's tag teams. And so you've got one in Toxic Attraction. And so where you need to plug a gap, they're very good at that. Fake Stephanie is Kiana James. Her partner was Ariana Grace. Oh, I was getting them mixed up. I was calling her Ariana James. So, yeah, okay. Kiana James and Ariana Grace. I'll have to try and remember those names. I still don't know, there's a few that I don't know. I still don't know the names of the Pretty Deadly guys. So I need to work that out. And, the one that's out for 9 months, as I said. So definitely quite a few names that I need to, try and learn, if you will. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see where we get to next week. I mean, that little tease at the end is very interesting. I don't even know what to expect from NXT next week now. Or if it is going to change over to, maybe it's not going to be NXT 2.0. Perhaps it's just NXT and it's kind of that new logo. I don't know. Do we go back to Full Sail? I don't know. It is very interesting. Michael said, Triple H did tweet out that new NXT logo and he said, we are NXT, so it could be a new logo. Okay. Marvelin said, how would you dream book WrestleMania? Don't know, dude. That's a bit too far in the future for us, but I can tell you that I would book Rock and Roman and I would book Cody versus Seth. So those would be my two big matches. Carmelo has had 2 reigns, says Jim, totaling 274 days. So it's 172 days, then 102 days. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that. Kieran said, is Black and Gold NXT coming back? Well, I mean, look, that's what we just drilled into. If it does, what changes? That's the question. What changes? So if you bring back Black and Gold NXT, what changes? I mean, you can change the logo. You can go back to Full Sail, but does the show's booking actually change? Does the way the show is structured, the way that people are used, the matches we get, the segments we get. Does any of that change? Because it feels like people want black and gold back, but I think what they want is they want the old NXT back. And that's why we just spent a little bit of time exploring that. And my point is, I don't know that you can get the old NXT back if you don't have Triple H booking it. And also, to a degree, if it's going to stay 2 hours on the network. I don't know. For me, black and gold was at its peak when it was 1 hour on the WWE network. 2 hours on USA network is a challenge. And I don't know, you can change the logo, but is it going to change everything else? Or change what people want it to change? I don't even know what people want to change. Perhaps they just don't like the logo and they don't like the colour scheme and they just desperately want that to change. I don't know. Feel free to let me know. Michael said it's more like NXT white and gold. Big Boy Dally said, I've seen some rumours it's Noam Dar that's under the red hood. That would be interesting. James said, do you think James Storm comes to WWE? We could get Beer Money Inc. in WWE. I don't know, to be honest. I mean, you could, because it's another tag team for the tag division. It seems like they've moved Dolph away from Robert Roode. So you definitely could look to go that way. But I don't know that they will go that way. I don't know that they will go that way. It's another tag team, isn't it? It's another tag team, but I don't think if they do come in, I don't think they would be a big deal. I think they would just be numbers to the tag division. Imagine 3 hours of NXT, says Joe. Nelson said, I love 2 hours more than one. Michael said, when was Bron Breakker a bodyguard? I remember him standing in the background. There was a row of bodyguards. I want to say potentially when Samoa Joe and Karrion Kross were in a feud. I remember them. It was quite explosive and there was a row of bodyguards in the ring. And I remember distinctly someone saying, oh, that's Steiner's son. So that's why it rings a bell. Can we just meet in the middle and go for an hour and 30, says just Nick. Jim said, I want more actual wrestlers in NXT. That's another good point, actually. That's another good point because, you know, we had Finn come from New Japan. We had Nakamura come from New Japan. We had Steen and El Generico come in from the likes of Ring of Honor. You know, we had this indie talent that would come in that knows how to wrestle matches. Whereas now what we've got is we've got a lot of athletes that are learning how to wrestle matches. So it means that the quality of matches has, for the new starters, for the new guys, the standard has definitely dropped as well. So, I mean, if you want black and golds and that's what you want, you need to go to an hour. You need to go to indie talent. You need to go to potentially Triple H's booking. And I don't know that you need Full Sail anymore. I would have said Full Sail in the past, but I actually think the crowd has got better. When we saw NXT 2.0 first start, I thought the crowd was awful. The crowd was really quiet, just really not really getting involved in that much at all. And I remember on those early NXTs saying, we really need to get back to Full Sail. That the atmosphere is nowhere near what it was when it was at Full Sail. I don't think that's true anymore. I actually think the crowd has really got into the product, warmed to the product, and now we find ourselves where we've actually got quite a good crowd. So I don't think you need to go back to Full Sail, but there's you'd have to make those changes, and I think that's a good one. I mean, we actually spoke, me and Nick spoke during the Wrestling Escape Pod about the whole athletes against wrestlers, indie talent wrestlers. It was an interesting conversation. And I think that has contributed to the NXT 2.0 brand and the feel of the show, is the fact that we use a few more athletes rather than indie talent. Bron was a bodyguard, then so was Creeds. I looked it up, you was right. Oh, the Creeds were bodyguards as well, were they? It's interesting. I believe the girl that is, I believe, Ulisa or something like that. Oh, the one that's out for 9 months is called Ulisa. Okay. Thank you. Did you see reports Triple H is going to give Nakamura a big push? I haven't seen those reports. I can believe it because he gave him a big push in NXT, obviously put the NXT championship on him. As well as that, we know that Triple H is a fan of New Japan and what they do over there. He brought over Finn. He brought over, I think he played a part in bringing over AJ. He brought over Nakamura. He wanted to get Switchblade Jay White. He got Kushida. So it's quite clear that he's got a great awareness of New Japan and what happens in New Japan. And he will know that Nakamura was one of their biggest names, one of their biggest stars. And he has been horrifically booked on the main roster. I mean, it's just been awful. So if Nakamura is going to be getting a big push, then I'm definitely here for that. That would be good. It was Joe and Cross. Have a good night. Good night, Hexed. My dream WrestleMania cards would be Brock and Gunther for the IC, says Marveland. Bobby versus Gargano versus Ciampa for the US. Cody versus Seth. Theory versus Cena. Rock versus Roman. Rock wins. And Theory cashes in. Thoughts? I wouldn't have Rock beat Roman just because I think whoever beats Roman is going to get a massive push. I think for the Rock to be the one to benefit from that, he doesn't need it. I think that what you want to do is actually put over someone that would really benefit from it. If The Rock beats Roman, The Rock doesn't get any bigger than he already is. He's already as big as he's ever going to be. He's one of the biggest names in the world. So if he is the one to beat Roman, I would feel like we've just wasted the whole Roman title reign because I'm waiting to see who is Roman going to put over, who is the person that's going to beat Roman. And I feel like it needs to be someone that can get bigger, someone that would really benefit from being that person. Theory Cena, I'm definitely down for that. Cody Seth, yep, I'm down for that. Bobby versus Gargano versus Ciampa. Not the biggest fan of triple threats. So I would probably just go, if Bobby's the champ, Bobby Tommaso or Bobby against Johnny. Or who knows if Bobby's even the champion by the time we get there. Brock Gunther for the IC. I would need to know why Brock cares about the IC. That would be my only problem with that. Brock is all about main championships, main eventing. He's all about money. He's all about being the guy. Why would he give a flip about a mid-card belt? I'm sure you could find a way of doing it, but it would just need that back work, that kind of background. If you could do that, then yeah, I'd be down for some of that. Modern Mogul said, are we on course for Volta versus Lashley? Yep, we're on course for it. Just Nick said, Roman was on Logan Paul's podcast and it was a good watch. Michael said, I think he said not for the title. Rock wins and then Theory cashes in. Rock wins a match that's not for the title. It's going to be hard, isn't it? I mean, I feel like why wouldn't the title be on the line? Why wouldn't the title be on the line? Nah, I wouldn't do it. I think whoever beats Roman, it should be clean and it should be someone wins and pins them and benefits from it. Because to be honest, even if Theory cashes in on Roman, that's going to feel quite cheap because it's a cash in. And I don't know really if that makes... I mean, Theory can certainly shout about it and say, I'm the one that finally beat Roman. So he could certainly shout about it. But everyone's going to be like, yeah, but you cashed in. So it's not going to have the impact. You know what I mean? It's not going to... Roman's had this title for so long. He's beaten so many people. We've built him up. It's got to be that when he loses that title, he loses clean. It's got to be. He's got to lose that belt clean. No cash in. Because that you're just taking away the moment. So whoever beats him needs to beat him clean. I think if you have Theory cashing in on Roman, you're really throwing away everything we've built. Because whoever beats Roman is going to get a big push from it. They're going to get like, they're going to be the guy. They're going to be the person that did it. It's going to be the guy. So it's a little bit like someone beating the Undertaker's streak thanks to outside interference. Like, yeah, you beat the streak, but you didn't do it clean. Like, that would have sucked. Imagine if the Undertaker's streak finally ended with outside interference and someone, like, costing him the streak or whatever. That would have sucked. Whereas, like, same with Roman, if Theory cashes in on Roman and it's not clean, that would suck for me. I just think, like, we've built him up. Put someone over, put Sammy over, put Kevin over, put Braun over, put Gable Steveson over, put someone over, put them over clean. AWC Legend said, put a Nakamura on NXT and rebuild him again. Yeah, I don't know what you do, man. I don't know if you do put some people back down in NXT. I mean, they have put Apollo down there and they have put Mandy down there. Do you put a few more down there? Like Nakamura? I don't know. I really don't know. Do they just get in the way of the progress of other stars? But saying that, if these other stars have got so far to develop, they've got so much they need to improve, maybe you just need some stars down there to just carry a bit of the weight. Because at the end of the day, this is a show on USA Network that needs a degree of ratings. And if you are just relying on like this fresh blood that's, going to take a while to season, maybe that's why we're seeing Mandy and Apollo and Solo Sikoa coming down and, because they need that support. And maybe you do put Nakamura down there for a little bit. I don't know. But if he's on the verge of a massive push, I would have to think not. I would have to think that's probably not the way that they're going to go. Modern Mogul said Brock could be in a three-way for the IC and WWE, taking the titles off two individuals in the same match. Jim said, how about Brock and Shelton go after the tag titles? Again, if you can just give me the story as to why. I mean, I know they're great friends. If Brock would want as a face, if Brock feels that Shelton has not had his what he deserves and he wants to help his friend, I could be down for that story. But it would just need that little bit of background work. Brock's always been presented as someone that just cares about himself. So for him to now want to help out Shelton would be a little strange. But I could buy it easily with, that kind of few promos where he's like, listen, you deserve better than what you've been given. I want to help you, kind of a thing. That could be cool. John said, at this point, I just don't care if Theory wins by cash in. It's the Money in the Bank briefcase, but I think Theory will lose the case before he cashes in. We will see. Brian said, if you put too many stars down there, ones that have been there for 5.5 years, what is the point of it being developmental? Well, it's because you've just got so much TV time. You got 2 hours. I mean, you can do developmental, but you can do other things as well. And if you've got a lot of talent that is not ready to carry that brand, you might need some stars. I mean, that's what we've got. We've got Mandy, we've got Solo. I mean, Mandy is the women's champ. Solo is now the mid-card champ. Granted, they've gone big with Braun, but I mean, it wasn't that long ago Dolph Ziggler had the belt. So it kind of feels like they are leaning on established talent just so that talent that's coming through can really progress, really, get some matches under their belts and climb that ladder a little bit. Carrion versus Drew at Extreme Rules. Confirmed feud, says Adam. Apparently Deji is going to fight Floyd Mayweather in Dubai, says Connor. Brock taking the tag belts off the Bloodline for a bit of revenge and already being former OV tag champs with Shelton Benjamin makes sense. Technical Game said, how was NXT? Well, we can find out because we can go to the community's thoughts. So let's do that, shall we? Jump over to the community's thoughts. And as soon as we're done with this, we'll jump back to the comments and then we'll look to wrap this baby up. I do want to say a big thank you to everyone that joins us for these reviews. And I think just before we do get stuck into this, like, I do think that graphic at the end has definitely made next week's show super intriguing. So we'll have to see where it goes. The future could be very, very bright for NXT. But I think it's right that we sit and talk about where we think the product is and where we would like the product to go. And quite the statement. And people telling me that Triple H has sent a message out saying we are NXT with that new logo. It's interesting. It's very interesting. Wow. 10 out of 10 apparently. Perfect show. Nothing could have been changed. So 10 out of 10 according to the community. So 7 responses says 10. 6 responses said 8. 4 responses said 7. So at the moment, according to the community, this is a 10 out of 10 show. Right. Solo Sikoa was a favourite part. It's not part of the show, but you followed me on Twitter earlier, and that's my favourite part of the show. We got a new North American champion, and I'm interested to see what they're going to do. White and Gold is here, formerly known as Black and Gold. Also, SmackDown commentary said that Solo was jealous, and that's why his name is Solo. Why did they say that he was jealous? I have no idea. I have no idea why they said that. That's not something that I've heard said before. Weird. NXT 2.0 said rebranding it to White and Gold. Solo winning and Daze blocking William and Austin. Yeah, William and Austin, former members of this community, gone and very much forgotten. The debut of the super diva Quincy Elliott, Quincy Elliott, and the black and gold NXT logo at the end of the show. Quincy Elliott spreading mayonnaise over his body and rubbing himself all over Daze, says apparently James Chadwick. I don't know if that's a James Chadwick type comment, to be honest. But, I don't remember that happening during the watch-along. You'd think I would recall that. I do like mayonnaise, though. And I do like Quincy Elliott, so, yeah, I can't say that didn't happen. Solo Sikoa returns to NXT and wins the NXT North American Championship, says Hayden. The part where Austin was banned, I couldn't let Austin go alone. I want to see Bayley's arm. Please acknowledge me. You want to see Bayley's arm? You need to go to the Bayley Arm YouTube channel for that, where I think they just do hour-long videos of Bayley's arms. This is the NXT review, which has got nothing to do with Bayley or her arms. So very much, you're very much in the wrong place, my friend. But thank you for taking part all the same. Bron Breakker winning Superstar of the Year. Solo winning the new NXT logo and Hayden rocks the anniversary celebration moments. Solo, Damon Kemp and the Creeds, Solo, Black and Gold coming back. Our conversation about Fallout. Usos, We the Ones. Solo. Someone said Quincy Dust. He was very Gold Dust, wasn't he? Fallon versus Legend. I don't see these two as big names. Don't think they will be contender for the women's title, to be fair. I think Wendy Chu has a better chance than them. Solo winning North American Championship. What are they going to do? It's stupid. I don't like it because he's a SmackDown star, and I hate it when they show up on other brands. I just bought my WWE Network, so it's refreshing to see. I don't have an opinion until I watch it regularly. Interesting. William and Austin being timed out. Look, it's happened. They've gone. Deal with it. Javier and Bloodline adding more gold, leaving NXT without a mid-card title. Fallon, Henley kicking the kid to the curb. Yeah. Yeah. Why no Casey and Caden? Don't know. You kind of, I mean, I'm all right with not having everyone on the show every week. I've said that before. That was something I loved about the 1 hour show, was that you didn't have everyone every week. And it meant that next week you can be like, it's Casey and Caden next week. And you're like, oh, okay, haven't seen them in a few weeks. That'll be good. Rather than seeing, the majority of people every week. Solo, winning. I'm over the bloodline. Watching people getting beaten up again. Yeah, that is the problem with pro wrestling. Not finding out who the mystery person is. Deji will fight Floyd Mayweather. That's the part of the show someone didn't like. Someone liked the least, actually, was when we discussed that earlier in the chat. Daze banning Austin and William. They're gone. When I was banned. Oh, so that's interesting. That seems like it was from one of our convicts that's managed to find a way into this Google feedback form. The Super Diva debut, Super Diva Dude, Toxic Attraction, No Roxanne Perez, Hoof Hearted, Quincy Elliott, No More Food, Not Sure. The Fiend was someone's least favourite part of tonight. Nothing. Grims, I think they mean Cameron Grimes. Hank. Yes, Hank Walker. So there we go. And let's just go back to the score. And it is official score 10 out of 10. That's it. That is our community score 10 out of 10. Jim said, one would think an anniversary show, all the champs would be on the show. Yeah, that's true. Convicts, that is how they are to be referred to on social media. Daze, it says live from London. People should know this. That's true. Live from London. But I think that's everything. Are we up to speed with everything? He talked to her last week when the bodyguard got in his face. Daze, can you block Austin and William? Daze, you can block Austin and William, but you can't block anyone your own size. No, I've said this before. I mean, guys, if you want to be a bully, always pick on people smaller than yourself. It's just stupid picking on people your own size. I don't even know why you would do that. I mean, that is bullying 101. That is literally the first thing you learn when you go to bullying school. Always go for smaller, weaker, preferably younger people than you, because you've got a real advantage over them. If you pick on people your own age and your own size, you might not be able to bully them as well. So yeah, no, it's a good point, Edward, but hopefully that explains why I like to go after people that are weaker, like Austin. So right, guys, we're done. Pick on the weak and the powerless, says Erasure Mind. Yeah, I mean, if you take just one thing away from this NXT review, I very much hope that it's that. Right, guys, we're done. Thanks a lot for joining us. Really appreciate the support. As always, hope you enjoyed NXT, and it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of NXT we get next week. We will be here for it, whatever NXT we get, whether it's multicolours, black and gold, white and golds. We'll have to wait and see, but a very, very interesting future awaits. Awesome, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.